The overall goal is to stop plastic-based containers from ending up in landfills, harming the environment.
Take out an order of Chinese. Rather than just chuck the plastic container in the trash, customers could wash them out and use them again or put them in the compost bin. Marin County Deputy Director of Environmental Health Services, Greg Peary, says that's what food purveyors may have to provide.
We would have a suggested list which should include many types of compostables, whether it's a hot hold cup, a plate, a bowl, to-go containers.
Eventually, people might be able to bring in their own containers to pick up food.
And when you see litter on streets, and then you go to the landfill and actually see waste that's going into the landfill, and you see all the plastics that can't be reused, whether it's utensils or from the house, from the restaurant.
The proposed county ordinance will be presented to the public during a Zoom presentation Wednesday. Jeffrey Schaub, KCBS.
All remaining lockdown restrictions in England are going to be lifted in a week despite a sharp rise in coronavirus cases. Britain's health secretary says it's the right time to allow the nation a chance to return to normal life. British officials say the government is on track to meet its target of offering all adults a first vaccine dose by July 19th, the day when all remaining lockdown restrictions, including mandatory mask restrictions, are set to be lifted. We've got the Money Watch now. It's sponsored by Personal Capital. Talk to an advisor and get a complimentary analysis of your investing and retirement plan today. No cost, no obligation analysis. PersonalCapital.com.
Dry weather in the Midwest could put a crimp in your grocery budget. The government says production of spring wheat, the kind used in pizza dough and bagels, will be down 41% from last year due to drought. The forecast sent wheat futures up 4% today. The rally that sent lumber prices to record highs appears to have run its course. Lumber futures fell more than 5.5% today, leaving prices slightly lower for the year. Analysts credit rising inventories and a significant drop in retail demand. Tesla CEO Elon Musk pulled no punches as he took the witness stand to defend Tesla's 2016 takeover of Solar City. A shareholder suit accuses Musk of a conflict of interest. At one point, he called a plaintiff's lawyer a bad human being. Modest gains for Wall Street to start the week. The Dow Industrials rose 126. The S&P climbed 15. The Nasdaq jumped 31. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Business for KCBS.
If dog people made dog food, it definitely wouldn't look like dusty, burnt brown pebbles. Ugh. It would actually be food. It would be made with real, fresh meat and veggies gently cooked to preserve their nutritional value. You know, like food. The Farmer's Dog was created by dog people who cook and deliver fresh, healthy food. Try the Farmer's Dog and get fresh, pre-portioned meals tailored to your dog's needs. Tell us about your dog, build your plan, and get 50% off at thefarmersdog.com. That's thefarmersdog.com.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
Are you still driving around with that check engine light on? AMCO will read and report the trouble codes on your vehicle for free. Call them today.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
CuriosityStream has thousands of documentary films and shows available on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. There sure are a lot of streaming services, aren't there? CuriosityStream is the one you definitely need if you're the type to nature dock and chill, if you're an armchair astronaut, if you prefer physics to psychics, or perhaps you know a precocious paleontologist. Go to curiositystream.com to learn more and sign up today.
Do you have a mortgage with mortgage insurance? If you do, then you're probably paying every month for mortgage insurance that you don't need. Your home has likely appreciated in the last year. Call Owning at 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com to see if Owning can refi you out of this needless and useless expense. For example, if you have a $400,000 FHA mortgage, you're paying approximately $2,100 a year every year to protect your lender, not you. Does that make any sense? Call Owning at 833-2-OWNING and you can find out in a few minutes whether Owning can get you out of this useless insurance without cost or obligation. Call Owning at 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act, subject to credit approval.
That's 833-2OWNING or owning.com.
Got a crash on 580 in Oakland. Kim Vessel's got her eye on it from your local Honda dealer's traffic center.
And traffic continues to back up on eastbound 580 behind this accident. Patty at Park Boulevard, now on the right-hand shoulder. Cars kind of beat up and banged up there, can't drive away. So I can see a backup now that extends to right around MacArthur. Definitely very slow there. Not impacting traffic on the eastbound side, though, and no delays on 880. If you take 880 through downtown Oakland, you can bypass that backup unless you're already stuck in it. And no longer any slowing on 24 or Highway 13 in Oakland. If you're in San Francisco headed that way, the ride to the lower deck of the Bay Bridge is really thinning out. I still see brake lights on northbound 101 from before the Central Freeway on to the eastbound 80 Skyway, but it is smooth sailing into Oakland on the lower deck of the Bay Bridge. No delays on the upper deck coming into the city. Next update, 7:08 with Peter Schofield on the traffic leader, KCBS.
The high temperature of 57 in downtown San Francisco today tied records that were set over 100 years ago. We've got a really strong marine layer going. It's going to still be kicked up tomorrow. Not a lot of temperature change all the way through the week. Traffic and weather together on KCBS. Coming up.
I'm Megan Goldsby. The temperatures have cooled in the Bay Area, but there are still calls to conserve energy.
I'm Matt Boone in Oakland. They started this spring amid a rise in violence against the Asian community. An update on the volunteer patrol groups in Chinatown.
Good evening. I'm Patty Rising. Jeff Bell is away this afternoon. CBS News is next.
When you need to know, KCBS AM, KFRC FM, and HD1, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose, and Odyssey Station.
7 o'clock.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by American Queen Steamboat Company.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. In Chicago, dozens of wildfires are burning across the western U.S. Some structures were destroyed in Doyle, California, where KOVR TV's Renee Santos is.
And I was expecting to see that, or worse.
Linda Schoenstein walking back into her rental property after being forced to evacuate from the area over the weekend. The Beckworth complex fire destroying several homes, including her neighbors. Her property suffering several burns, the roof badly damaged.
After all the work we just put into it, a shock.
Strong gusty winds fueling this fire, making it extremely difficult for firefighters.
Vice President Kamala Harris is supporting Texas Democrats who've left the state in an effort to stop the Republicans eager to pass new election laws. CBS's Adam Brewster.
The session was called after Democrats walked out of the chamber at the end of May to break quorum and defeat a different GOP-backed election bill. House and Senate Republicans in Texas advanced two separate election bills over the weekend following hours of testimony about the measures. Texas Democrats previously left the state to break quorum during a redistricting fight in 2003.
The Texas lawmakers are now in Washington, D.C. A government warning has been put on the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine for 100 people, men mostly over 50, who developed a rare nerve syndrome. CBS medical contributor Dr. David Agus.
Guillain-Barré is when one makes an immune response against one's own nerves that causes muscle weakness, and in the most severe cases can cause muscle paralysis.
For the second time in less than a week, the government says fully vaccinated Americans won't need booster shots. CBS's Peter King.
That pronouncement comes from Health and Human Services after officials met with Pfizer. Last week, the drug maker said it planned to ask the FDA to authorize booster doses based on evidence of a greater risk of infection 6 months after inoculation and the spread of the Delta variant. Last Thursday, the CDC and FDA said that wouldn't be necessary. A Pfizer spokeswoman says the company and the government share a sense of urgency in staying ahead of the virus. Some experts say a higher infection rate might warrant a booster shot. Peter King, CBS News.
Cleanup and recovery still underway at the Surfside, Florida building collapse. Surfside Mayor Charles Burkett says 94 bodies have been recovered.
Given it is a very, very sort of holy site at this point because we've lost so many lives, we're going to be tightening the security around that site, and it's only going to be authorized personnel that will be allowed near that site.
A crane attached to a high-rise under construction in Kelowna, British Columbia, has collapsed, causing multiple deaths. Police say several workers were near the crane when it collapsed. This is CBS News.
Discover the heart of America with American Queen Steamboat Company's authentic paddle wheel riverboats. They offer all-inclusive journeys on the mighty rivers of the U.S. Visit aqsc.com.
It's 7:03 at the Bay Area's news station KCBS. Mostly clear inland overnight with clouds and fog at the coast and into the bay. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy to start the day, becoming mostly sunny inland. The clouds and fog will persist at the beach. Good evening, I'm Liz St. John. Here's what's happening. We're just learning that new state rules are saying that K through 12 students who refuse to wear masks inside school classrooms and buildings will be prohibited from entering their campus. LA Times reporting that new regulation from the state today says another form of education would then be provided to them. Exceptions will be made for students with special health needs or disabilities. Although federal recommendations say schools can allow vaccinated students to attend classes without a mask, California is choosing to take a more strict and cautious approach. For the third time in the last 4 days, Californians are being asked to conserve power this afternoon and evening. KCBS's Megan Goldsby reports that today's Flex Alert period runs from 4 to 9 p.m.
You should know the drill by now during a Flex Alert. Turn the air conditioner to 78 degrees or higher and turn off any lights you're not using. It isn't as big of a challenge after the heat wave has largely moved to the Central Valley. The heat may not be as widespread now, but the problem, says Mark Rothletter, Senior Vice President and COO of CalISO, which calls for the Flex Alerts, is still that fire in Southern Oregon. It's disrupted some of the electricity transmission lines into California.
If the California airtime was fully available and not affected by the fires, I don't think we would be under these extreme conditions and asking for the amount of relief that we are.
Over the weekend, the governor signed an executive order that frees up some emergency power, but says President and CEO of CalISO, Elliot Mainzer,
we really have been using every tool at our disposal to try to keep the lights on. And the people of California really are an indispensable partner in these efforts. And I know we're asking a lot of folks, but I really have been impressed to see people who respond whenever they've been asked to conserve.
Megan Goldsby, KCBS.
San Francisco is out with its mid-year crime statistics, and city leaders say viral videos aren't reflective of the numbers. Still, problem crime areas remain. KCBS's Margie Schaefer reports from police headquarters in San Francisco, where the police chief and mayor make the case for more police officers.
You may have seen the viral videos. The man who rode a bike into a Walgreens and brazenly stole things and rode off. The elderly woman waiting at the bus stop where two people were stabbed. San Francisco Mayor London Breed says police work has led to arrests.
But what's not going viral, what's not being brought to the forefront is the fact that in almost every single instance, our police department have arrested many of the people in these particular crimes.
Homicides saw an uptick, though 2019 was a 58-year low. Rape cases are declining. Aggravated assault show a modest long-term decline. Robberies declining, but two challenging areas, according to Police Chief Bill Scott, are burglaries and gun violence crimes.
You see, 2021, we're almost double where we were this time last year in terms of gun violence. And this is...
Chief Scott says the police department needs 400 new officers, which could take years to fill. He expects increased deployment to help drive these numbers down. In San Francisco, Margie Schaefer, KCBS.
The community patrol groups that popped up earlier this year in Oakland's Chinatown are still going strong. KCBS reporter Matt Boone followed along as an Oakland City Council member came to show off how they've impacted the neighborhood.
Walking along Harrison Street in Oakland's Chinatown, a group with the Oakland Chinatown Coalition pick up trash and patrol the streets for any seniors in need of assistance. Hoping to show off the range of alternative forms of public safety, Oakland City Council President Nikki Fortunato Bass says the measure of these patrol groups' success so far has been largely anecdotal.
We get positive feedback as we're walking and strolling.
Still, she's been a fierce supporter of groups like this.
It is helping to show that it's safe to be out here walking, shopping, going to appointments.
Amid the stress caused by the pandemic, Oakland has seen a rise in violent crime and instances of anti-Asian crime, along with calls to defund police, or at the very least, not rely on them to solve every problem.
There's a very comprehensive infrastructure that the city needs to build around safety.
The city recently passed its budget for the next 2 years, investing $18 million in the Civilian Department of Violence Prevention, as well as increasing funding for police. though Chief LaRon Armstrong has criticized the budget for having reduced their ability to recruit new officers. In Oakland, Matt Boone, KCBS.
Just ahead on KCBS.
I'm Keith Menconi on one type of COVID data that's still controversial, even a year and a half into the pandemic.
KCBS News Time 7:08. Traffic and weather together. We say good evening to Peter Schofield. He's clearing a crash on the Altamont Pass.
Well, good evening, Liz. This is 580 eastbound at North Flynn Road, leaving Livermore in the Tracy direction. The motorcycle crash that was blocking the left lane has been cleared, and according to the Chilton Auto Body Collision Cam, traffic is still a bit sluggish through there from North Flynn Road to just about the 205 split, and then continuing through Tracy, eastbound 205. That slows briefly between Tracy Boulevard and MacArthur Drive. In Oakland, 580 eastbound at Park Boulevard, the crash is off the freeway, off to the right-hand shoulder, but both cars in this crash are stuck on the embankment there, so that's what's getting enough attention to back up traffic toward MacArthur. In Hayward, 880 northbound speeds are down from Whipple Road to Tennyson because of a crash at Tennyson. That's been cleared. That's just the leftover backup right there. And in San Francisco, heading to the lower deck of the Bay Bridge, 80 eastbound, that's where traffic bogs down from the 101-80 split to just about 4th Street. But after that, you have an easy drive across the lower deck of the Bay Bridge and through the tunnel. Your next traffic update at 7:18 on the traffic leader, KCBS.
Cloudy and foggy at the coast and into the bay overnight. Clear inland, though. And then tomorrow morning, more clouds spreading out over the Bay Area. So we'll wake up to overcast, becoming mostly sunny inland by midday. Highs in the 50s and 60s at the coast, 60s and 70s around the bay, 70s and 80s inland. Traffic and weather together on the 8s on All News 106.9 and AM 740 KCBS.
Rocket Pro Insight makes it easy for real estate agents to help clients strengthen their offers with a verified approval, giving you the power to adjust the approval letter amount. Sign up today at rocketpro.com/real estate.
Cover terms and details equals letter. License 56. NMLS number 33. Verified approval only valid in certain 30-year purchase transactions.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
And AMCO offers payment plan options for almost any credit situation, so it's easier than ever to fix it fast and pay it off slow.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
Do you have a mortgage with mortgage insurance? If you do, then you're probably paying every month for mortgage insurance that you don't need. Your home has likely appreciated in the last year. Call Owning at 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com to see if Owning can refi you out of this needless and useless expense. For example, if you have a $400,000 FHA mortgage, you're paying approximately $2,100 a year every year to protect your lender, not you. Does that make any sense? Call Owning at 833-2-OWNING and you can find out in a few minutes whether Owning can get you out of this useless insurance without cost or obligation. Call Owning at 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act, subject to credit approval.
That's 833-2-OWNING or owning.com.
The Department of Veterans Affairs is so innovative, it not only improves the lives of veterans, it transforms the lives of healthcare professionals who serve them with access to the latest technologies and remarkable benefits. Transform your future at vacareers.va.gov.
4 famous siblings, 1 epic party. After dark, the crowd will be completely out of control. By morning, the house will go up in flames. Nina Riva spent her whole life holding it together. One night will bring it all crashing down. Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, best-selling author of Daisy Jones and the Six, available now.
KCBS News Time 7:11. Over the last year and a half, local health officials have been releasing all kinds of data about the COVID-19 pandemic, from infection numbers to vaccination rates. But as KCBS's Keith Menconi reports, there's one type that many have been reluctant to share.
That would be data on which local businesses have experienced outbreaks. Of course, many local businesses would have understandable concerns about outbreaks being made public. On the other hand, many believe releasing such information helps strengthen the public health response.
So it's a situation where you can see push and pull on both sides.
UC Berkeley public health professor Dr. John Swartzberg. The latest example of this push and pull, Santa Clara County is now releasing its own data on the more than 250 workplace outbreaks that have taken place locally. It did so in the face of a public records request from the Mercury News, and the paper reports many other counties are still holding out. Swartzberg is hoping more counties will follow suit, as he believes even now that data could still help.
The more the public would understand where there may be outbreaks, the more likely businesses would attack the problem more aggressively.
Keith Manconi, KCBS.
KCBS News Time 7:13, sponsored by Star One. Now residents of San Mateo and Alameda counties can join Star One. Apply now at starone.org. Kevin has sports in 2 minutes.
Get ready to go back to school and advance your nursing career with West Coast University's online nursing programs. You can earn your Master of Science in Nursing with our specialized family nurse practitioner track. Prepare for more advanced roles helping treat patients of all ages. With WCU's online programs, you can earn your degree on a schedule that works for you. Classes begin every 8 weeks. To get started, schedule a virtual tour at westcoastuniversity.edu. WCU cannot guarantee employment.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
And AMCO offers payment plan options for almost any credit situation. So it's easier than ever to fix it fast and pay it off.
20. Well, Governor Gavin Newsom will not be listed as a Democrat on the ballot for the upcoming recall election this September. For more on this, we're joined on the KCBS Ring Central Newsline by Larry Gersten, KCBS political analyst and San Jose State political science professor emeritus. Thank you for joining us this evening. So here's the big question. How did this happen?
Well, the governor received notice of the pending recall back in, I think, February 2020. And at that point, he had to return some papers. And in those papers, he needed to make sure that his party preference was part of the material that he returned, if he wanted to have his party preference on the ballot. This is fairly new, by the way. That opportunity wasn't there with the Gray Davis recall, but it is now. And for whatever reason, that didn't come out. And so when Shirley Weber, the Secretary of State, noticed that and refused to allow the governor to have his party preference next to his name on the recall, the governor sued. And we know now what the judge said. The judge said the law is the law. And even though it's probably apparent to a lot of people that you're a Democrat, unfortunately for you, it's not able to appear your party preference next to your name.
So what kind of effect could this have on Newsom during the recall? As you pointed out, most people know he's a Democrat, but maybe some people don't.
You know, there are a couple of things to consider here. One, it's part of a pattern with the Newsom campaign. There have been these unforced errors at several points along the way. Start with the French Laundry and go from there. They sort of become collectively kind of heavy. And so the question is, are people paying attention to that? Are they just ignoring it? It's not important to him. He's done a good job on the pandemic, most people feel. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. The other issue is to worry about is turnout. We know that the turnout in this election is expected to be very low. We also know that Republicans, according to recent polls, are twice as enthusiastic about being part of that election as Democrats. So when you have this kind of wrinkle happen and you don't have much margin for error, the question is, will this be the tipping point? We don't know. We'll just have to find out. But it certainly raises a level of uncertainty that the governor's team didn't need to have.
Oh, you mentioned unforced error like the French Laundry and this. I mean, is this just lazy? Are people not paying attention to details? Do they think, well, we're a shoo-in, so whatever?
You'll have to ask the governor's folks about that. Don't know. It's been, I think most people at the beginning thought this election would be a shoo-in for the governor. And at times, going back to winter, his standing in the polls was not so hot. But you know, as the pandemic has receded, as people have gone back to work, his standing in the polls has gone up. So I think most people have been thinking all along that, this is okay. And in fact, he's up 12 or 14 points in the polls. But, you don't need to have little wrinkles like this bring doubt into an outcome. And we just don't know to what extent that'll happen or whether this news cycle will pass, and that'll be that.
All
but
right.
in the meantime, there's a level of uncertainty that probably leaves the governor's campaign a little less comfortable today than they were yesterday.
All right. We're just about out of time. So on the Republican side, who do you see as the front runner there?
Well, we don't know yet. I mean, first of all, we're not sure even who's going to be elected, who's going to get involved. They've got till Friday. We saw tonight a conservative Republican radio host, Larry Elder, is jumping in. We don't know how many other people are going to jump in. It will not be anywhere like the 135 we saw against Gray Davis, but it wouldn't surprise me to see 20, 25, and we'll have to see how their campaigns go from there. We know this much. It's going to be a very short campaign period. And that's also something that may benefit the governor.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time this evening. Larry Gersten, KCBS political analyst. And we're off to the Money Watch.
Stocks began the week with modest gains and records for the major averages. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 126. The S&P 500 rose 15. The Nasdaq Composite climbed 31. Richard Branson's successful spaceflight yesterday couldn't prevent a crash landing today for Virgin Galactic stock. It fell 17% after the company filed to sell up to $500 million in new shares to cash in on its feet. More trouble for Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine. Health officials are monitoring 100 preliminary reports of a rare immune disorder in people who got the vaccine. That's out of nearly 13 million doses administered. This weekend's debut of Black Widow was mixed news for movie theaters. Although North American ticket sales set a post-pandemic record, strong streaming sales on Disney Plus raise questions about whether the theater business is permanently changed. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
Hi, Jennifer York here. You've heard me talk about True Mortgage for a few weeks now. Well, something big just happened in lending. The government came out with a new program for homeowners. They're offering the lowest rate in lending history, and I don't want you to miss out. Just days ago, the government enacted a program giving homeowners more relief on refinancing their homes. It's called the Refi Now, and millions of homeowners are eligible. That's right, millions of homeowners are eligible right now. So visit True Mortgage at TrueNow.com to see if you qualify, even if you're self-employed. What do you have to lose? It takes less than 5 minutes. This program has one of the biggest governmental breaks for mortgage qualifications ever. Credit requirements have been loosened and rates have been reduced. If you're a homeowner, this is your time, but you got to do it today before the program runs out. Call True Mortgage at 833-563-2783 or go to TrueNow.com. Again, the number 833-563-2783.
Sign on the line, Inc. DBA True Mortgage is a fair housing lender. NMLS 1626699.
In LA, it's always outdoor season, and Cinch makes it ridiculously easy for you to be ready to grill. Cinch brings the propane to you. Go to cinch.com, enter your zip code, select your delivery date, and Cinch handles the rest. There is no ongoing commitment necessary. New customers get their first propane tank exchange for just $10 using promo code LAGrill. You heard right. Get your first tank exchange for just $10 with code LAGrill. That's cinch.com, promo code LAGrill. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. Visit cinch.com/offer for details.
Try the Edge Pizza from Pizza Hut. It comes loaded with toppings all the way to the edge. 4 recipes to indulge in, and each offers a thin and delicious crispy crust. Every bite is a masterpiece. The Edge is back for a limited time only at Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
Are you still driving around with that check engine light on? AMCO will read and report the trouble codes on your vehicle for free. Call them today.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
Hang on, what are you doing with that paint?
Recycling?
Paint can't be recycled.
Actually, paintcare.org says it can.
Let me see. And there's a drop-off site close by. And it's free? Nice.
Dad, no.
Do you have a mortgage with mortgage insurance? If you do, then you're probably paying every month for mortgage insurance that you don't need. Your home has likely appreciated in the last year, Call Owning at 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com to see if Owning can refi you out of this needless and useless expense. For example, if you have a $400,000 FHA mortgage, you're paying approximately $2,100 a year, every year, to protect your lender, not you. Does that make any sense? Call Owning at 833-2-OWNING, and you can find out in a few minutes whether Owning can get you out of this useless insurance without cost or obligation. Call Owning at 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act, subject to credit approval.
That's 833-2-OWNING or owning.com.
728 KCBS Traffic and Weather together. That Oakland crash is cleared. Here's Peter.
It's 580 eastbound at Park Boulevard in Oakland. The crash that left a couple of cars up the embankment there, also blocking the Park Boulevard off-ramp from 580 eastbound. All of that has been cleared, so the Park Boulevard exit from eastbound 580 is open, and the backup behind it is beginning to thin out. The Altamont Pass, not much left of the backup there from that crash 580 eastbound at North Flynn Road. It's gone, and not much left there to slow you down. And then up ahead in Tracy, 205 eastbound, that is slowing down from Tracy Boulevard to just beyond MacArthur Drive. The Richmond-San Rafael Bridge, 580 eastbound, leaving Marin County. The left lane is blocked for Caltrans maintenance, so you have a little stretch of slow traffic getting onto the bridge as you pass San Quentin. Your next traffic update, 738, traffic leader, KCBS.
Overnight, mostly clear inland, cloudy and foggy at the coast, and tomorrow we start the day cloudy for much of the Bay Area. It'll clear up inland, but it'll stay overcast at the coast, keeping it cool, 60s at the coast into the low 80s inland. Traffic and weather together on KCB.
News that matters to you around the Bay, around the world, around the clock. All News 106.9 and AM 740. KCBS.
It's Monday, July 12th, 2021. Coming up on KCBS.
I'm Jennifer Hodges. One more step forward in the effort to get better housing for farm workers in Santa Clara County.
Space tourism, what will that look like in the future, and challenges for small performing arts organizations. Good evening. I'm Liz St. John, KCBS News Time, 7:31. California's AB 5 law is creating unexpected challenges for small, local performing arts theaters to cast shows. KCBS's Mike DeWald reports it comes as many are working to emerge from the pandemic.
The 69-seat Main Stage West in Sebastopol hosts between 6 to 9 performances a year. Keith Baker is artistic director.
We are a small little theater that basically is, we have talented hobbyists.
Baker says the theater would typically pay cast and crew a little money for their time. Now under AB 5, if that amount exceeds $600, those cast and crew members would need to be hired on as employees and make a minimum wage, costing exponentially more per performance.
Which for a small nonprofit theater would put us under.
Baker is now paying $585 and can't hire the same person twice in a given year.
The idea that suddenly the state of California is going to tell artists that they have to essentially kill their art form to make minimum wage is absurd.
Some professions have been carved out of the law, but not for small community theater. A bill is circulating to provide funding for theaters to pay the extra costs, but Baker says